You wouldn't think of riding in a car without first fastening your seatbelt. And you wouldn't play football without wearing a helmet. Nor would you want to grab a hot pan from the stovetop without first using a hot pad. And you know it's a good idea to wear a helmet while rollerblading, snowboarding, and while snowmobiling. So why do we take these precautions? The answer is simple: to avoid getting hurt. Safety is a big concern in many things we do. In science, safety is also very important. There are a number of safety procedures that should be followed when performing science activities. What are some of these procedures? How can accidents be avoided? How can damage to expensive equipment be avoided? And what should you do if an accident occurs? During the next few minutes, we're going to address these questions and others as we explore safety in science. Science is a fascinating subject. What most scientists really love about their work is doing things. For fisheries biologists, that may mean working in a stream. For ornithologists, it could be studying rare birds. Or for researchers, it could be working in the laboratory. Most scientists like to be active. You too have the opportunity to experience the thrill of science in your science class at school. By conducting experiments, you can experience the excitement and fun of science. But these experiences can only be fun if they're safe. That's why it's important to always make safety come first. This program is going to emphasize ways accidents can be avoided. It's always easier to prevent or avoid an accident than it is to deal with the consequences of an accident. This carpenter wears clothes that are comfortable and safe. This chef wears a white uniform to work. And this softball batter is wearing a uniform and a helmet to take her turn at bat. Like all these people, you too need to dress a certain way to do science activities. Let's discuss some of the things you should do before starting an activity in the laboratory. You decide. What should this student do with her hair? She should tie it back so it cannot be burned, come in contact with chemicals, or get caught in equipment. Don't wear loose clothing such as bulky sweaters, scarves, or dangling sleeves. This type of clothing could also come into contact with chemicals, flames, or get caught in equipment. Some types of jewelry may also pose similar problems, so it's a good idea to remove it. In some cases, your teacher may provide a laboratory apron for you to wear to help protect your clothing from stains or damage. One of the most vulnerable parts of your body are your eyes. Therefore, it's very important to protect your eyes while working in a science laboratory. Your teacher will tell you to wear protective goggles when working with chemicals, bases, acids, any type of heating device or flame, or when cutting things. You should wear protective goggles anytime there's even the slightest chance that harm could come to your eyes. If you wear contact lenses, ask your doctor what type of protective eyewear is advisable. While wearing goggles at first may seem awkward, after you wear them a few minutes, you won't even know they're on. Soccer is a game of many rules. For example, you can't touch the ball with your hands while it's in play. Like soccer, there are some general rules that everyone must play when conducting a science activity so that no one gets hurt. One general rule is to read all the directions before starting an activity. If you don't understand something in the directions, ask your teacher. Another general rule is to always do what your teacher instructs you to do. Your teacher has your safety in mind and doesn't want anyone to get hurt. So listen closely and follow directions. You predict. What accident is about to occur? The drink is about to be tipped over. It's not a good idea to eat, drink, or chew gum in the science lab. Just as a game doesn't start before the referee starts it, don't start a science activity before your teacher tells you to do so. One of the most important safety rules is to ask for help if you're not sure what you're doing. Keeping a neat workspace is also important. Put all book bags and other things you aren't using someplace else. This will give you plenty of space to complete the activity safely. We use heat to warm our homes, cook our food, and even to dry our clothes. Heat sources, including fire, can be very useful, but they can also be very dangerous. Heat is commonly used in the science lab for a variety of experiments. One common source of heat used in the lab is the hot plate. One rule of caution when using a hot plate: always assume it's hot. You may not know when it was turned on or off, and it may be extremely hot if you try to touch it. Other sources of heat in the science lab include burners or candles. Whatever heat source you use, always wear protective goggles or eyeglasses. You observe. What did this person do wrong? This person reached across the flame. Never reach across a heat source, as you may burn your clothing or your skin. If you are heating a test tube or bottle, always point it away from you or others. This way, if the chemicals boil out, they won't come in contact with anyone. Finally, only touch hot objects with instruments such as beaker tongs, test tube holders, or heat-resistant gloves or mitts. When you are done using a heat source, turn it off. If you've ever accidentally hit a window with a ball or a rock, you know that glass breaks. Glass has several useful properties, including the fact that it can be heated to high temperatures, and it's transparent. But unfortunately, if dropped, it shatters. Therefore, when using glassware such as test tubes, beakers, graduated cylinders, and thermometers, be careful. When holding cool glassware, always have dry hands and make sure the glassware is dry as well. Keep in mind that you cannot tell if glass is hot by looking at it. Make sure it's not hot before touching it. Don't use chipped or cracked glassware, as it may shatter when heated or cooled. If you notice any chips or cracks, or accidentally break a piece of glassware, tell your teacher right away. And don't touch the broken pieces of glass. They're sharp. Use a brush and a dustpan to clean up the glass fragments. And remember, thoroughly clean and dry glassware after you use it. Chances are that one time or another you've accidentally cut yourself. If you have, then you know how much a cut hurts. In the science lab, there are plenty of sharp objects that can easily cut your skin. Sharp objects such as scalpels, knives, razor blades, scissors, and pins are all dangerous when not used correctly. Always use great caution and wear eye protection. You observe. What is this student doing wrong? This student is cutting toward herself. Never cut material toward you. Always cut away from you. That way, if you slip, you'll not bring the sharp object toward your body. If you should accidentally hurt yourself, immediately report the incident to your teacher. Using chemicals in science experiments can be a lot of fun. Chemicals, when mixed together in chemical reactions, may create changes in color, produce gases, and may even give off heat. There are a number of precautions you should take when working with chemicals. First, always wear protective goggles when using chemicals. Second, only use chemicals which your teacher tells you to use. And don't mix chemicals without directions from your teacher. Make sure all chemicals you use are clearly labeled. In some cases, your teacher may want you to wear a laboratory apron and/or gloves when working with chemicals to protect your body in the event of a spill. If you should spill a chemical or get chemicals on your skin, tell your teacher immediately. Also, clean up spills right away so no one else accidentally touches the chemicals. And always thoroughly wash your hands after working with chemicals. Hopefully, your classroom contains safety equipment which can be used in the event of an accident. We'll briefly highlight some of these common safety devices. Your teacher will explain the use of them in more detail. If an accident occurs, the most important thing to do is to tell your teacher immediately. Your teacher knows how to deal with accidents. One of the most dangerous accidents involves the outbreak of fire. Fortunately, all science labs contain fire extinguishers. Familiarize yourself with their location. If a small fire breaks out, your teacher may try to put it out without using a fire extinguisher. But if he or she can't do this, then the use of a fire extinguisher may be needed. If you work with chemicals, your classroom should also have an eye wash station. The purpose of an eye wash station is to wash harmful substances from your eyes. If you get a potentially harmful substance in your eye, immediately tell your teacher. Finally, your classroom should also contain a first aid kit. You should not open the kit, but if you need immediate first aid, your teacher will know how to use its contents. During the past few minutes, we've seen what fun science can be, and we've discussed how safety is the key to enjoying science. Keep in mind that this was just a quick look at science safety. Your teacher will want to add to the information covered during the past few minutes. In review, we discussed how safety should always be the first priority while conducting a science activity. The importance of dressing appropriately and safely was covered. The necessity of wearing protective goggles was also addressed. Some general safety rules were covered, including the importance of closely following directions before starting an activity, and creating a safe, clutter-free workspace. More specifically, the safe use of heat sources was explored, as was the appropriate use of glassware. We saw why caution must be taken while using sharp instruments. We also discussed some of the ways chemicals should be safely used. So, the next time you prepare for a science activity or use equipment in the laboratory, Think about the important information we discussed during the past few minutes. It will help you have an enjoyable, safe science experience. Fill in the correct word to complete the sentence. Good luck, and let's get started. Number 1. Science is only fun if it's Number 2. Safety should always be considered. Number 3. This person's is a hazard. Number 4. Protective should always be worn when using heat. Number 5. Read all before starting an activity. Number 6. Never reach a heat source. Number 7. Always position containers from you and others while heating. Number 8. Do not use glassware. Number 9. Never chemicals without permission. And number 10. Report accidents to your immediately.